Welcome to Dog's Red Wine. We're here in Perrysburg, Ohio, in my living room, and we're going to talk about a really delicious wine. We're going to drink it as well, but we're going to talk about it. And also, we're going to talk about the airline disaster that was on the Potomac in Washington, D.C. a couple days ago. Turns out my sidekick, and being a pilot and everything, probably has some really great insights for you. And we're also going to talk about Doge and what Elon has been up to in the billions he's saving us. So, what do you got to say, Jason?
I'm Jason, co-producer of Dog's Red Wine, and Frankie really likes me. So.
And fellow dog lover. Bart's a dog lover.
Oh, do you have a bath? You smells
Yeah,
like you had
he
a bath.
did because it's been, it got frozen out there, and then snow, and then rain, which just turns the backyard into mud. And I knew he'd be jumping on your lap. So
yeah.
I asked Ocean to give him a rinse before we date. So he's a little damp. Sorry about that, but that's better than mud.
Yeah, exactly. Especially on a white dog.
Yeah. Or almost white pants.
Yeah. My daughter just brought a 3-month-old puppy home yesterday, not Sophia, and not at my house.
Oh, that's good.
but
I always say, it's not your dog, it's my dog. Because you're out of here all the time.
Yeah.
And who's left holding the bag?
Yeah.
Or it's dog food bag.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So Bodie's still at my place, so we'll bring Bodie over sometime. And
cool.
Mess around. But
yeah, I wonder how they'll get along. You know what? These guys get along with her, especially him.
Yeah.
Everybody's fun to... Bart can be a little bit on the shy side when he first meets dogs. And he was scared of Franklin for 6 months. Bart would jump on the couch when Franklin walked by.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now, of course, they're pretty good buds.
Yeah.
They're even like sleeping together on the bed.
Oh,
And
nice.
that just is recent.
Yeah.
After 5 years, they like each other enough.
I'd always bring, probably choose a neutral meeting ground for, first introductions or whatever, I imagine. So
there's not a lot of dog parks around here. California and Las Vegas is nuts about dog parks all over the place. But
there's a really nice one, Glass City Dog Park.
Like it's a member only one, isn't it?
It's a member only one, but
I'm not knocking that. But
yeah.
There's not municipalities don't seem all that big. But then we also have a lot of trails and parks. I think you're allowed to go with your dog just about anywhere around here.
I think so.
Are you allowed to at Knights Reserve?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's
they even have
that's a pretty nice dog park.
Yeah, absolutely, and they even have around WW Nature Preserve. They even have like the doggy bag stations and stuff like that. So they're definitely dog friendly.
Yeah, it's neat over there.
Yeah,
if you're ever in Perrysburg. Go check that place out.
Yeah,
I've never actually been inside the building there.
It's nice.
You were there just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
with the girls.
Right. Yeah. They have a area where you can rent out. For the time was
organizations and parties and stuff like that.
People do graduation parties there. This one happened to be a tennis. Party, for the tennis, end of the year tennis season, and then they have another area that is a bird watching area, and then some educational areas for younger kids, and then some reading areas. It's actually really nice. Little rangers actually have an office there, so I think upstairs there's.
I've seen a sign for the boats as well.
Oh yeah, that in the summer.
I don't know exactly where they go or where do they take them? Do they take them to Maumee or is it?
No, they just ride around the little pond.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I don't think they have those. I think they only have them like 1 weekend a month or 1 day a month even.
Okay.
Or I don't know what. We'll have to fact check me on that.
I think some of the ones they do on the I would do one of those because they like drop you off.
Yeah.
And you go with the current.
Yeah.
And then they pick you up.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
it's not a ton of effort to float along the river.
Right. Yeah. There's a place out of Grand Rapids that is really nice because you get dropped off or you put in right in Grand Rapids and you can paddle around there for a while, and then if you get in the current of the Maumee, yeah, you can, cruise down for.
Have you done it?
Yeah, I've done it a few times.
Cool.
Yeah. I used to do it every Father's Day with the girls when
they
were
really?
here, and it's fun because it's like I said, as long as you get off in the right spot, they'll come and pick you up.
Right.
So yeah, and you can have it for half day. Yeah. Seen some bald eagles and stuff around there. Like
there's a couple bald eagles in this neighborhood.
Nice.
And I the first time I realized it was a dead fish in the yard.
Oh, like
I'm like, where did this dead fish come from? And it had some puncture wounds.
Oh,
on
wow.
it, so I knew it was the
talons.
And I came home. This was last year, as a matter of fact, and there was one in the tree right here eating a fish.
Wow.
I'll send you a link, and maybe you can put a little clip.
Yeah.
He was up there like chomping away.
That's cool.
Eating on this, yeah. It was a good shot. I actually was able to sit in the car, and I got a pretty good video of it.
Is Frankie big enough that he's not at risk?
I don't know.
I've seen video clips of like Alaska where a bald eagle will come down and grab a chihuahua. And,
I'm Mark. Go lie down. You too, Frankie.
He's jealous.
Maybe kick Frankie off. And
here you go. There you go, guys. There you go, guys.
Yeah, don't encourage him.
He just wanted attention.
He does. And his butt scratch. That's his favorite thing in the world. I warn people, don't scratch his butt. He'll never forget you. That's the he's half black lab and half Great Dane.
Oh wow!
We think
he looks black labish. I wouldn't have guessed Great Dane.
Although, well, if you type in black lab and Great Dane mix, and see the side profile, that's him.
Okay.
And what he's doing right now,
he wants me to scratch.
Thing,
oh,
no, he leans on you and sits. That is very much Great Dane behavior.
Okay.
And he talks, which I don't know if you.
Yeah, I've heard
experienced a lot of that. Okay, lie down. We're not going to talk about you anymore. No, go lie down.
Oh.
So tonight I was thinking. Well, you know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So what we did is we each put in 5 subjects.
Right.
And I don't know what his 5, and he doesn't know what my 5 is, and we're just going to draw them out of the hat. I don't know if we'll get to all 10.
But we can start on, or maybe.
Why don't you grab the first one?
All right.
And
see what we got here. Okay. Wine of California.
That's what you put in?
I put, one of my
Talk about wines of California.
Wines of California. So
that's an excellent choice. This happens to be
a California
wine from California.
Oh, well, excellent.
I gave away part of our test, but you do better than I do on different flavors and stuff.
Sure.
But this is one of my favorite wines, and I think we might have talked about this wine.
Okay.
I don't know if we talked about it on the show or just in conversation, but you're gonna think that it's rigged that you pulled out.
I know, right?
Right. You wanted a glass of wine,
right? Yeah.
You guys said I'm thirsty. Cheers.
Cheers. So, to Wines of California.
Cheers to Wines of California. It was funny you were saying in the last show that there's sort of more snobbery in Napa.
Yeah.
Versus
Sonoma.
And I actually asked Grok.
Okay.
This is AI on X, and it agreed with you.
Okay.
It quite lengthily. I was like, well, that's too much info. It's like, oh yeah, definitely. The people in Napa probably think better of themselves.
It did. It reminded me of a snooty restaurant versus going out to some farmer's vineyard.
Yeah.
The difference between Napa and Sonoma, in my opinion.
Well, up in that area is also Calistoga.
Okay.
And I did go with my folks to Calistoga probably like 40 years ago. It's nothing like that now. I mean, it was so run of the mill.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the one restaurant was a diner. Now that area is just covered in great restaurants.
Right.
Did you taste this?
Yeah, I did. I tasted this. I'm trying to figure it out. So, trying to think of the.
It doesn't smell too young.
No. You want me to guess the year first?
Sure, go for the year.
Then I can.
I would actually say, whatever you think it is, take out 3 years.
Oh, really?
I think this wine tastes much older. My person, we'll get to that, but personally, I think this wine tastes like it's much older than it really is.
So. I like it. So this, just because you gave me that hint, I'll go with 2021.
2020.
2020. Okay. All right. So
2020. You're close. You're very close.
All right.
So you might have gone 8 years old, maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's nice. So
for 5 years old, it's pretty mature.
Right. So price point around 39, around 35.
16.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah,
So now you got a 2020 for $16. Okay. Now let me go.
And it's California, you know that. So California wines generally are more expensive because land's so expensive.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And in fact, some of these guys who have always wanted a winery, and they buy one, they pay so much for the land, they can't make a profit because they can't make a bottle of wine that. They have to charge $80, but it's a $15 bottle of wine.
Well, that's what they were saying. Like, there's not going to be any new. Like, you're not going to go in and buy a California vineyard and then make money on it. You know what I mean?
Probably not. Not unless you're already like a really high end, Fardiente or Cape Bread. Is that what we had the other month?
Yeah,
like a month ago. So those wines are pretty highly priced, but if you're a $20 bottle of wine, and someone comes along and buys you, they can't afford to sell it for $20. There's no the profit's gone.
Is it a Merlot?
Nope. And that's the other thing that's cool about this wine. This variety, I can always never find one I like at this price point, especially.
Sure. So it's a light cab then, huh?
It's a cab.
Yeah.
It's a cab. Probably would have gone well with that steak you made last night. How'd that come out?
That turned out really good. I used some beef tallow.
Perfect.
And used a little scoop of beef tallow to kind of like get the temperature point up on cast iron. Just did it inside on cast iron. And did it for about 3 minutes a side. On the second side, I think the first side I did for 4 minutes, and then on the second side, I started taking the temperature at about 3 minutes.
So he asked me via text message about some help on a steak. Did that work? Did it come out exactly where you wanted it?
Right. So and then I let it rest. But
I mean, there's all sorts of tricks that we this is rare.
Yeah.
That's medium. Hard is well done.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work.
Right. Yeah. That's what my chef at a restaurant that I was working at back when I was in college. That's how he would tell me.
Yeah.
He's like, use the palm of your hands, like to medium rare or whatever. And
you can't beat a thermometer because it's and there actually there's these new ones that you can buy and stick them in, and they'll tell your app.
Oh, nice!
What your steak's doing.
I've seen those on like smokers and stuff like that. So a 2020 Cabernet for $16.
I know what I remember the conversation. We have talked about this wine.
I don't know the vineyard, but this is going to be that. Is it a blend or
Nope.
is it a single vineyard?
All cab.
Is it Kendall Jackson?
Nope.
Okay. That would hit that price point though.
I used to sell a lot of Kendall Jackson out of my restaurant.
Yeah,
and they had Bell Arbors is also a Kendall Jackson brand.
Oh, okay.
And that sold pretty well. Actually, they had a Merlot, a Bell Arbors Merlot in a liter bottle in the 90s. That just this one year, it was so good. We used to buy cases of it and throw it in the garage. It was so cheap. It was probably like $4 a bottle.
Yeah. Well, this is the best I can do is either Central Coast or Sonoma County, but $16. It's good. I enjoy it for $16.
It is. It's a great vineyard.
Yeah, you did mention this. This is nice.
So I think I was telling you the story how my dad. I gave him a bottle of Opus One.
Right.
It was like $45.
Yeah.
And he had it for 20 years, and we were like, well, we'll have this first, I think.
Yeah.
And then the Opus One. I don't know which. I mean, I know what we did do the Opus One first, and this was better. So when we did that Opus One, it was probably $1,000 bottle of wine. This is, we probably paid $12 at Trader Joe's for it.
Yeah.
And it was really good wine. I'm like,
no, it's
that's good stuff. Yeah.
That Vivino wine app. I don't know if I talked about that. And
I think you mentioned it. I haven't checked it out,
but I haven't. I don't know if I've. I don't know if I've had this one before today, so I like it. And
you've never had that?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you'll be like checking it out over at Casmar's, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is nice though. For $16, that's perfect.
So this one, I wrote down.
Okay.
And it's Doge.
Okay.
And have you been reading what's been coming out the last couple of days?
I haven't, but Doge, it's. Yes, it's being traded, but I mean, even when the Dogecoin?
No, that's funny. No, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Oh no,
headed up
I thought you were talking
Elon.
about Dogecoin.
Which is, it's funny that doesn't he have a Dogecoin or
he's a
affiliated?
Major, he wasn't the creator.
I thought that was interesting that it gets called Doge. How convenient there. But anyway, So one of the things that he got access to is the feds have a payment system.
Okay.
And there was one guy in charge of $7 trillion a year in payments. One guy. And he okayed everything. It didn't matter who it was, a dead person or a terrorist. And the guy wasn't even an American. So this guy quit a couple weeks ago. Yeah. He saw the writing on the wall. And there was another guy left, and they showed up, and then he goes, "No, I'm not going to let you in." So he got fired. And they got in. And some of the things that have been going on that the taxpayer has been paying, $300 million, $200 million.
Wow.
It's just insane. I mean, it shows such insane corruption.
Oh, yeah.
So they're under this payment system is USAID, I think it's called.
Okay.
And one example is they gave $2 million to a reporter. A well-known reporter.
Huh.
Like someone who was on not Good Morning America,
Today or whatever.
The morning shows they have on Sunday. Bill Crystal, and he was getting funneled this money, and it was just leftist propaganda.
Wow.
And money was going to George Soros's groups.
Right.
The gal that was sort of rude to Trump at the the church service they had.
Oh, right.
A couple weeks ago.
Right.
She got something like $30 million.
Wow.
To help
her fund.
relocate illegal aliens.
Oh. Well, and she kind of made that a point, right? When she was
Well, yeah, she knew her wallet was coming.
Interesting.
Or lack of wallet.
Yeah. One thing that takes me back. I mean, like from as early as I can remember, like Oliver North days, right? When they're funneling money, and I think it's just gotten out of control. That it got to be so easy, and people looked away. That this is probably the first time somebody's questioned it in a while.
I think it's the only time it's been questioned.
Yeah.
And it's become an overwhelming behemoth on the back of the taxpayer, and we have no clue.
Yeah, is it public information now, or is it
now? Yeah.
Oh wow.
And also today, Alinsky, the president of Zelensky,
okay.
the president of Ukraine.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I didn't get 175 billion from you, or I got 71 billion. Well, you're piping up now. I mean, how long has it been going on? A couple of years?
Yeah, a couple of years.
And oh, by the way, I haven't got $100 billion.
Wow.
How's that possible?
Yeah. Somebody's going to be following the money trail on that. So,
well, that's where I think the most revealing thing that's going to be over the next couple of months is where all this money has been going. I mean, you hear about we're spending trillions.
Well, and our debt. I mean, our debt is insane. I believe I read our debt is 130% of our GDP now.
It's not quite that from what I asked Grok.
Okay.
But starting this year,
yeah,
every 100 days it goes up by $1 trillion.
And that's hard to even imagine.
Yeah.
I think they said if you stacked a $1 bill together, $1 trillion or however much, and this was years ago, like 3 trillion $1 bill stacked would reach to the moon.
Yeah.
And so
we're like 10 times.
But so the money amount, I think when you start talking trillions, is too much for people to even really comprehend. But let's say it's not quite 130% of GDP, but let's say it's 120%.
I think they said 110.
Okay, so let's say it's 110% of GDP. That's the equivalent of you going out and working your hardest and bringing in your entire paycheck, and that only pays
still owing 10%,
and still owing 10%,
and all of it taken away from you.
Yeah.
It is becoming. There is a theory. I think it's called the Clyde Priven or something. We'll put a little pop up so people can read about it if they want. But it was two economists. I think there were socialists who came up with this idea, which is bankrupt the system. And if you bankrupt the system, then you can rebuild it in the eyes of socialism.
Right. I was going to say, what would happen if you bankrupt that system? That destabilizes the entire world economy. That gives, who holds most of our debt? China. And they have their...
I'm not sure if that... I know they were starting to unload it.
Yeah.
And when I asked my broker, like, what happens when China sells these bonds, he's like, someone else will buy it because they want the bond.
Right.
And they've used that debt, those bonds, to help build their economy.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
They're in a world of hurt right now. I'll bet you some of this money has also been funneled to China.
Yeah. There's ways to get around regulations, and that's usually with cash. Or being favored, and who gets into the country, who gets the contract in the country.
Right.
It works until you end up in a place like Venezuela, where Owens International, OI, that's based world headquarters here in Perrysburg, glass bottles and stuff. They had an entire manufacturing facility in Venezuela, and Chavez came in and said, "Nope, it's mine now." He's like, you guys.
I think they did the same thing with the oil companies, because all the oil companies were American, and they were selling all their oil in the United States through Citgo. And there was a tiff, like 10 years ago, I think it was Maduro. Who was before Maduro? Chavez?
Yeah.
Chavez?
Yeah.
And he said, we're not selling our oil to America. And they went, they're the ones with the refinery to refine it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, never mind. Because no one could do anything with the oil.
Right.
And I think they swiped all the refinery, or all the drilling rigs and stuff. And then realized that drilling rigs break down. And the only people with the equipment to fix it and the knowledge were the oil companies.
Yeah.
So they stopped producing all this oil. So it was just really bad thought out plan for sure. But they're socialists, so they tend not to be that bright.
I'd like not to have the U.S. turn socialism, and so I think
the biggest difference, the biggest halt to that was definitely the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's a lot of shocked people out there.
Yeah. On
the left, and for myself, the last 2 weeks are like a political dream come true.
So
it's all things I thought would be great if they happened, but I was like, fait accompli. No one's going to do that.
Definitely,
they're doing it now.
He definitely is making changes. Definitely, you can't argue that.
He put that tariff on Mexico, right? The 25% tariff. I think he put it on them on Friday, and Schumer came out maybe yesterday. The price of your beer is going to go up. He's holding a Corona, and avocado. On the other hand, your guacamole for Super Bowl Sunday is going to be more expensive. And 2 days later, well, I don't know if you heard, this morning she folded.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's...
everybody else is going to fold.
Yeah.
Because you have two things. One, we're the 100-pound or the 1,000-pound gorilla against the rest of the world, monetarily and militarily. And you also have Trump, who's better at playing this than anybody.
I like his politics. I don't know if I like his politics. I don't know if I like him as a person. You know what I mean? His character. I don't know if I like his character of some of the stuff that, just his egotism and stuff like that is a little bit off-putting for me.
I think he would not be anywhere near as successful in life if he wasn't that guy.
And I'm sure
a lot of it's probably been blown out of proportion by the media. A lot of people say, I can't stand the things he says, or he lies. There's a good one. He lies so much. I'm like, well, give me a lie. You know what their response always is? Oh, there's so many. Oh, great. Then it should be easy. Give me a lie. They never can do it. Can't do it on Twitter. Can't do it on person. Because people keep hearing he's lying, but they don't actually hear what the lie supposedly is.
The one thing that is really impressive is the amount of big media that is controlled, certainly controlled, right?
Yeah.
And the big media is... they canceled his Twitter account when he was acting president. He was still
the same as Facebook
president.
did.
Yeah, and so to have that much power of your media companies to stack everything you have, including taking away an acting president's voice, to take away all of that and then still have him get reelected is pretty incredible. Yeah, and I think you can thank Joe Rogan as partly
people
absolutely. Like that, like independent news, stuff like that.
And having this side discussion that a lot of the podcasts are having, like the Tim Cast URL. I don't know if you ever watch him, or there's a lot of players out there, and they may only have 1 or 2 million followers.
Yeah.
But that's now 400,000 more than CNN.
Right.
So 2 guys in their living room
Right.
are beating the jets and vans and millions of dollars of equipment and salaries and everything else.
Right.
2 guys are blowing them out of the water.
Right.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we got here for another one here. All right, I wrote this one, and there's and it's specific because I have another one in there that's kind of like this that we might not even get to today, but this one is specifically RV travel, and we've both done it. Yeah. So
I would say for me, it was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
Tell me what it was like for you.
Well, in '99, it was right before 2K, the big 2K. I had a company called Chef Live, and the idea was to go around and videotape chefs in the back of kitchens cooking.
Right.
And post videos on the internet. And all I could find was this very old diesel pusher. It was an executive. If I can find a picture, I'll send it to you. And I put the logo on it on the side, and on the back, I made a 6-foot dummy in a chef outfit, holding a sign that said cheflive.com, right? And I could see cops in the rear mirror, and they'd be speeding up because they thought some guy was hanging up. And I had so many people taking photos of it and waving. It really
was it like a mannequin,
I built it
funny.
with wire and shoes and stuffing. Yeah. And I found a pretty cool mask.
Yeah,
and I got a chef jacket and chef pants and black shoes.
Yeah.
And I had it parked. I was in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
I'm like halfway through my trip, and someone ripped the head off of the back. It just never was the same after that. I got another head for it, but it just didn't look quite right. But everything broke down on this damn thing.
So that can be like my RV. So I did a travel trailer, and
yours was brand new.
And
but they still have problems, don't they?
Right. But both my vehicle was brand new. It was a 2017, and the RV travel trailer was actually the 2018 prototype. But I was always grateful that it's like that was my home for like over a year, and I was just like, if my vehicle would have broke down, well, I probably could have, fixed that. Or if the travel trailer would have had something wrong, I could have fixed that. But you break down on the side of the road with a pusher, and that's it.
Oh, we did it a few times. We turned the AC on, and that flipped a belt.
It's expensive too, right?
Yeah, it's $450.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't have $450. I think I left with like $200 in my pocket. We spent, every single. We thought we would be able to raise a little more money,
right?
Than we did.
Right. How many places did you go, and how long did it last?
It lasted almost a year.
Oh,
and I 50 or 60 chefs.
Oh, that's a success right there. Right?
Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah.
Every chef we asked said yes.
Yeah.
And there was no internet video.
Right.
No one was doing video. In fact, a lot of people were like, "That's not possible."
And so what did you do with that content, and how did you film it actually?
Well, I saw the camera. It's a Sony.
Okay.
It was one of the first Hi8 to digital.
Okay, sure.
So it had a digital output. That was new.
Yeah.
And I also had the very first compact computer with a FireWire capture card.
You're talking, so you said 1999. Yeah, that was high tech. I remember
I bought the compact, and I'm reading how to do it, and it said FireWire. Yeah. So I go back to, what's the big, the blue place with the yellow sign?
Best Buy.
Yeah. So I go into Best Buy, and I go, I need to buy a FireWire? And the guy goes, I don't know what you're talking about.
I totally know what you're talking about, because I had a high 8s, that like you had the the high 8mm, a VHS tape deck that had firewire out into the computer, and
that camera does have it.
So it was, and that was in 2004 or 5, and even back then that was like better than the news stations had, right? The news stations,
and there's still the local places, even our local channel, that we just got, they want our show on, that's 720,
So
they're sort of locked into that, technology in some ways.
I mean, when you scale up that high, I mean, for a news station to switch from 720 to 4K,
it wipes out all their equipment.
Yeah, and so I mean, and
their makeup was terrible. You remember when they turned to high def?
Yeah,
and they would have this. You could totally see the makeup they were using.
Yeah,
because they were different. You know, picked up differently.
Yeah.
Good thing they got around that.
Right. I mean, it's funny that around that same time that everything went to high def. So I have a meteorology minor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The news stations started not requiring meteorologists anymore. They would actually like get the feed from a meteorology service, and they would have a beautiful human read the.
I think they
telephone.
made some change like that in the last couple of weeks.
Okay,
because they fired hundreds of them all over the country.
Oh, okay.
So maybe they're just replacing it with one person. I don't know.
But it was interesting.
Or AI
because it was interesting. You know, it's like weatherman Joe. I think he's got to go. Yeah. but Ashley
was a 10.
we'll have Ashley read.
She
the
looks
weather.
very healthy.
she'll read the weather quite well. So, but yeah.
But
so.
I think that for a while, like 20 years ago, they had naked weather.
I don't know about that. I don't need to see that either.
I did. Oh. What does this say? Oh, tariffs.
Okay.
So it's interesting. I already sort of knew a little bit about this. So do you know what the 16th Amendment is?
Okay.
The 16th Amendment was the adding of the income tax, the federal income tax.
Oh, okay.
And it was sold to pay the war debt.
Okay.
They're going to do it 3% for a limited time.
Okay.
That didn't really work out. But before we had the income tax, the federal government lived off of tariffs.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
And Trump is talking about getting rid of the IRS.
It's
and the income tax. Maybe that's because if you think about it, well, right now, if you compare us to the rest of the world, most of the rest of the world has higher tax on our stuff. They have higher tariffs, and most things come into our country with no tariffs.
Right. It's interesting when you tour some of these big mansions like the Bilderberg and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers.
Yeah.
Those level of income, it said, could never have been accomplished with a personal income tax situation. Like that level of wealth was all pre-income tax. Like if you would take 30% of John Rockefeller's income, I mean, or wealth, I mean, he's not going to build a $100 million mansion on the side of, you know what I mean? It's like
no, and although I don't, I wonder what his wealth compared to like Elon Musk's wealth is today. If they're on the same level.
I would Yeah, I would actually be really curious.
We'll do the numbers because you can always go to a inflation calculator.
Yeah, right.
And put it, or it'd be reversed, wouldn't it? Right. I guess you keep putting until you get to.
Well, and it was interesting because the Rockefellers also. I mean, the government would already meddle in their business. I mean, they were just doing business-ish, but they were like cornering markets, and they were like
doing monopolies. And those situations I understand.
Right.
And sometimes the guy who's being accused of a monopoly is the guy who started the whole idea.
Exactly. Like,
and that doesn't seem really fair.
Exactly.
Like, well, it was my idea.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like, I mean, how many, especially when you go overseas and stuff, like, how many times is the government suing Facebook and Google and stuff like that because all the searches are going through Google? It's
right.
Like, well, maybe it's because it's,
Well, before Trump was elected, the DOJ had announced that they were going after Google for monopolizing certain markets. So it'll be interesting to see how his DOJ will go after them or not, or drop it, or actually do it. And it probably should happen.
In the airline industry, the DOJ is really involved with mergers because if there's not a lot of overlap, it tends to get approved. But if there's a lot of overlap in the route structure, a lot of times it gets denied, and you kind of saw that with the JetBlue Spirit Airlines thing that got denied about a year ago or so.
Uh-huh.
That was denied partly because the only thing that's going to do is take competition out of the marketplace, and then the party that beat can charge a higher rate.
I don't know what your view is. Mine, we never discussed it, but the airline business seems sort of messed up to me.
I would say it's a difficult business model to do right, and you can see that with the Spirit bankruptcy.
Yeah.
It's a hard. We'll contrast Delta and Spirit for a second. So Spirit has lost $2 billion since 1999. They have never been profitable since 1999. So you're going on,
and they nickel and dime you, right?
And they nickel and dime you,
fare,
right.
But they charge you for chewing and for swallowing. And,
yeah,
blinking.
Your bags,
50 cents for blinking,
right? Yeah. So Delta, on the other hand, is a premium market. So you're going after the same crowd that wants to have a different experience. They don't want to just get from A to B. They want to have some I'm not going to even call them luxuries, but they're going to go. They want some expectations,
right.
But
and travel clubs and all that kind of stuff.
Delta made $2 billion in the last quarter, so they made in one quarter they made $2 billion, and in 4 or 5 years, Spirit has lost $2 billion.
Okay, so
and never been profitable.
If Spirit has done that badly, is it a different attitude of management or a different business model?
I think it's the business model. I think it's like if you want to sell 99-cent cheeseburgers, what's your profit margin on a 99-cent cheeseburger? So
at the end of the day, when you pay for all the extras, is it about the same or still less? Then it would have to be less because
as far as
the analysis you gave. So if you took a Delta flight from Detroit to Miami and a Spirit flight from Detroit to Miami, after you paid for your bags and blinking and all that stuff, are they going to be about the same or is it still cheaper?
So the cost to the airline itself, the highest cost is labor. Second highest cost is fuel. They both have airplane leases. So the labor prices are pretty similar. I mean, even though that Spirit is low cost, their pilots are pretty well paid. Their flight attendants. I mean, just because they don't give that level of service to the consumer, their employees are pretty well paid for the same type of equipment. So
Gotcha.
so the prices are the same, but if you initially pull up an online search for Delta and Spirit, Delta is probably going to be 3 times more. And so when you are able to sell your same number of seats at 3 times more, that's where your profit comes in.
Gotcha. It's more of a sales model.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say, yeah.
Now there was obviously a airline accident, 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
And you being a pilot and everything, so. And I assume you've flown into, is it Bethesda?
No, it's
DC
DCA. Yeah, it's
so
Reagan National.
You've flown in there?
into it hundreds of times.
So have you ever hit any Black Hawk helicopters?
So,
what do you think happened?
I know fairly with certain exactly what happened. I was at a Pilot Assistant Network convention. I also volunteer to do crisis calls for crisis, but it's like mental health, right? So I was at a conference for pilots, and during that time I was at an annual training event, and so that happened, and a lot of the pilots I was around knew controllers in DCA. They knew pilots that were in that area. My sister is a retired air traffic controller, not in DCA, but she got ideas.
It's a federal agency,
right? So what happened is that Black Hawk helicopter on the Potomac River, they have a hard cap of 200 feet AGL, 200 feet above the river. That's as high as the helicopter is supposed to go. You're not supposed to go higher than that. That helicopter was almost 400 feet.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Why?
What
could it possibly?
It was a training flight, so it was possibly that I don't have the details on.
Okay, so if you're training people in black, I don't know this. Wouldn't you do it like in the middle of nowhere? That's pretty busy. I mean, lights and people and buildings
it depends. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was a brand new pilot. It could be it was a training flight for that sector or something like that. Maybe
I heard that those helicopters, that mission, training mission, was if anything catastrophic happened in DC to get some bigwigs out of there.
I don't have any information on that. But what I do know, the two things in my professional opinion, and I think I have a pretty accurate and pretty educated view from being an airline pilot for 25 years, and the information that's probably not official that I have access to. The pilot of the Black Hawk helicopter was primary at fault. Secondary at fault was the FAA see and avoid system, which they've had a helicopter crash in New York with the same problem, where they asked the helicopter pilot, "Do you see the traffic?" And
couldn't there be like 3 planes coming in?
Okay. So see and avoid, that's a problem, right? So
see and avoid, is that what you said?
See and avoid.
Okay.
Correct. So
now, doesn't he also have a radar?
They both airplanes have radar.
But the helicopter is more able to go up and down, and he shouldn't have been up that high anyway.
Correct. And so the flight paths are designed that if the Black Hawk helicopter was at his altitude, the other plane would have easily flown over top of him. Right? I mean,
yeah,
it is an intersecting flight
path. It's okay,
but it's three-dimensional.
It's a distance thing.
Exactly, it's three-dimensional, right? So if everybody would have been on their flight path, it would have been three-dimensional. Yes, he would have been a near miss, but it would have missed, right? So the other problem was the air traffic controller at the time didn't really give the level of detail that was required in that scenario. He just said, "Do you see the traffic?" Should have said, "Do you see the traffic 12 o'clock less than a mile?" 12 o'clock less than
Now,
a mile.
on your radar, does it have the call letters, or does it show you what plane is coming at you?
There's in the airline flight deck, there is a two screens, one for each pilot, called TCAS, and actually they're displayed on your primary navigational. They pop right up. At that altitude, you're landing. So that altitude information goes away because
it doesn't matter.
Because it's like it might say traffic. Air traffic control asked if you see them. They weren't expecting traffic to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The traffic wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
So, but the see and avoid and the air traffic control saying, "Do you see the traffic?" was not enough. There, at that, I mean, if he would have said,
okay, so
the traffic,
there is some blame with obviously 400 feet is bad,
right?
Because that puts you where you're not allowed to be,
Right.
And then you had, I heard that the traffic controller was probably at fault. They were understaffed.
Always,
and there were like 1,000 applicants who did incredibly well on the tests, but their melatonin or the color of their skin wasn't correct.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
So they weren't hired.
I have no idea about that, but what I do know is that the air traffic control system is incredibly understaffed, and my sister retired early because she got so burnt out. The last 4 years, she was scheduled mandatory 6-day work weeks, overtime, because they had a facility that was supposed to have, like, let's say 50 controllers. They had 35 for 2 years. And the government said, well, we don't have the funding to hire more. And we're like, but that's a huge number. That's like you're 30% understaffed. That's a big deal.
Well, and saying you're underfunded, come on.
Right. Well, you just saw
$33 trillion in debt. We're apparently not underfunding anything.
Exactly. And now it's what? How many trillions are missing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I think there's going to be this is going to come to a head and pop.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great explanation.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn.
Is it my turn? Okay.
Cool hat, by the way. Isn't that
All
cool?
right. Planet Hollywood.
Well, the reason I brought this up is...
Oh, this is the one that you said that there's one in here that only you are going to be able to talk about.
A friend, we talk all the time, and she always asks me questions about who I've consulted for, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't, nothing really sort of comes to mind. I mean, if I thought about it, but...
Right.
And probably one of the more interesting ones was for Planet Hollywood. And so I met with this executive team, and this was
in Vegas?
Yeah,
okay.
20 some odd years ago.
Right.
And they hadn't built the hotel yet.
Okay.
They just had their restaurants.
Right.
And I met with them, and they said, yeah, we can get people in, but they won't come back again.
I can tell you why.
And I told them why. I go, it's your food. And he goes, one of the guys goes, we have a really good Chinese chicken salad. And I said, what restaurant in the entire world depends on one dish?
I can tell you why. That, in my opinion, I was at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas, and I've never been back either because they had $14 guacamole that was subpar.
Frozen. I wonder how long ago.
That was probably 6 years ago or so.
Oh, well, that's after my advice to them. So my advice was hire a really good chef and redo your menu.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
It was like a 5-minute meeting. It was one of the shortest meetings that I go, that's easy to fix.
Yeah.
Make better food.
That's good.
I guess you guys need to hire another chef, apparently.
I mean, I didn't actually. I mean, I was a little bit sticker shocked from the guacamole, so I think my 2 beers and guacamole for $40 was enough for me.
Right. I think you were probably in the Forum shops.
Probably.
which is attached to Caesars.
Oh, okay, right.
And the per square rent is higher than I think any place else in the world.
I can imagine. I mean,
so those guys are paying like $80,000, $100,000 in rent
per month. Yeah, per month. Yeah. Yep. I had a neighbor in Miami Beach, Florida. He lived in Miami Beach for 4 years, and my neighbor was a part owner in this place called Bacon Bitch on the beach. Yeah. They were paying $100,000 a month lease.
Yeah, Luciano told me the rent for Valentino's in the Venetian.
Yeah.
$110,000 a month.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You got 30 days to break even on $110,000.
Yeah. The Bacon Bitch had a really cool business model though. They were closed every day by like 4 p.m. and it was like the pregame crowd, the pre-party crowd. You know what I mean? So
get your buzz on before 4.
Right? So I mean, you had premium priced breakfast sandwiches.
Right.
You could get the decked out.
Are they still down there?
Yeah, they're still down there, and they're still rocking it. I mean, it's hard to be
Breakfast Beach.
Breakfast on right on. Yeah, you can walk from.
It's called Breakfast Beach.
No, Bacon Bitch.
Bacon Bitch. Sorry.
Yeah.
Bacon. Actual BITCH.
Yeah, Bacon BITCH. Yeah, Bacon Bitch. Yeah.
And it's in Miami.
Yeah, Miami Beach. Okay. Yeah, 10th and Ocean. so yeah, it's a fun place.
Cool. Well, I will grab us another subject.
Right. This might be the last one. We're coming up on our hour.
Okie doke. I grabbed 2. I'm going to see which one.
Pick your fave.
They're both of yours.
Okay.
Raising daughters. Okay.
That should be just a whole other episode.
Yeah. Okay. Tune in for part 2 of Raising Daughters.
Yeah.
Well, I have 2. One is 17 and one is 15.
Yep.
And the 15-year-old, I haven't had a lot to do with raising her. She lives in Vegas and has pretty much been raised by her mom. Ocean, I've had sole custody of for coming on 9 years. In May, it'll be 9 years, I think.
So a decade from age 8 to 17, sole custody, single parent sole custody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's impressive. and I have 4 daughters that are ages now 24, 22, 20, and 18. So every
you're done with them in that they're adults,
my
but you're
youngest,
not done with being
never.
dad.
Yeah, never.
Because you're always like, I can't do this. I go over here.
Yeah,
over there.
Even my oldest daughter that lives out of state and works out of state, she got into a situation where she needed her dad, and I went down there and helped her move into a new place and get herself set up. And it wasn't a breakup. It was a breakup with a live-in boyfriend.
Gotcha.
I would
I
recommend.
think when they're 17, they look at 18 as I'm free, but we're not.
Right?
Because they still like our wallet and stuff, and our advice, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I don't. They throw problems out there, and as a dad, if you offer a solution, I don't even know if they listen. But I still try and give it anyway. But I mean, it's pretty funny that they're just like, yeah.
Well, boys are a problem for me because I was a boy, and I remember what kind of a boy I was.
Right.
So I know what's in their head.
Oh yeah,
100% I know it. And they don't.
No, in fact, they
give them the benefit of the doubt. They fall in love with them.
They should never.
Yeah, and sometimes, a few of them afterwards. Yeah, you're right. He was terrible.
Well, and I have a rule.
But you can't say it while they're going together.
No, but I have a rule in my house, and it's a hard rule. Like my youngest is still senior in high school. She is 18, but she's senior in high school. And I have a hard rule: no boys. You know, you can have a party with all your girlfriends. You can even have girlfriends that aren't even your best girlfriends, and there won't be a problem.
Well, you had a kid who wasn't even invited. He had some app that he knew where everybody was, and pretty much barged into your house.
I was gone, and
he went and stole a bunch of things.
Yeah, and he stole cash from my daughters. I don't keep my own cash in my house, but who knows where I have some Ring cameras in my bar area and stuff like that, just because I have teenage daughters. But yeah, I mean, stealing stuff.
This is how I handle booze in the house. I just drink it, and then there's none left for them to get their hands on. So
right.
I'm a one bottle at a time guy.
That's fine if you're wine, but remember I'm a bourbon guy, and I don't think anybody wants me to drink a whole bourbon glass at a whole. I guess I could buy the little fifths or the little airplane bottles.
Right? Yeah.
Just come home with a little airplane.
They have?
Oh yeah, you can go
even
to
like some
Pockets.
of the finer ones. You can
I don't know about how fine, but you can get like Maker's Mark or
but none of the ones we tried.
No, you can't get anything like that in an airplane bottle. But you could drink it all at once if you got a little 2-ounce bottle. But yeah, so that's.
Should we call it?
Yeah, let's. I mean, daughters. Daughters has been my greatest joy and my biggest challenge by far. Yeah.
Well, I don't think any daughter really realizes the innateness that a father has about protecting them.
Oh, right.
And they see it more as, you don't love me, you don't care if I'm happy, and I'm like, no, I don't want you to be dead.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be devastated. I can see what's coming.
Right.
Not because I'm intelligent. I just know how humans are.
Yeah.
And humans are pretty easy to. They do the same thing over and over again.
I have a high alert, and I worry about how much we're going to be able to enjoy ourselves with our daughters in Puerto Rico.
Well, that was one of the things.
Is that in there?
Maybe we'll just touch on it. So next month we're going to Puerto Rico
with our daughters.
His girlfriend. You're taking one daughter.
Just Sophia.
Just one daughter. Both of my daughters are going to be there. We got a cool place, so we're going to go down there and eat, drink, be merry. Maybe do some video.
Yeah, do some video. For sure,
work.
We have to do
and maybe one of our shows we'll film down there.
Yeah.
So if you down in Puerto Rico and you're watching this and you need, we can come and shoot something. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
interview or a documentary on. I heard the rainforest down there is really cool.
The rainforest, I have a lot of pilot friends that do layovers in Puerto Rico, 24-hour layovers in Puerto Rico. And they said it's the only rainforest in the U.S. And they said it's a must-see. They said you have to book it. You have to reserve it online. And they said can't miss it. It's their favorite thing in Puerto Rico.
Well, all of you can go on it, and we'll hand everybody a camera.
Yeah. Right.
And then just throw it all in the timeline. You'll have like 6 cameras.
Yeah.
Because that'd be good.
Yeah. And I mean, our business is, commercials, media production, right? So it doesn't have to always have to just be commercials.
Yeah, we have the equipment and the knowledge and the imagination to come up with whatever someone needs.
So maybe do a little bit of that. I'm excited about Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's going to be... Now, you've never been there.
I've never been.
I've only been to the airport.
So that doesn't really count.
Yeah, it doesn't, because I used to work in St. Thomas.
Okay.
So all the flights...
Okay.
You could go to any of the Antilles from St. Thomas for like $35 round trip. It was turboprop.
Right.
You could see the...
I flew turboprops for 8 years. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's very safe. They're efficient.
Yeah, they don't seem safe in your head.
I mean, if you don't have...
To me, in my head, it was like old technology.
Yeah, it's just different technology. It's still a turbine engine, same as the jet engine. It's still a jet engine. It just has a turbo shaft mounted to it to make it more efficient at lower altitudes. And I mean, it doesn't go up, 30,000 feet. And the commercial jetliners are between 35 and 40,000 feet. And generally, those turboprops are, especially between islands, they're probably only at like 10,000
20
feet.
feet. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah.
You can see the whiskers of the fisherman.
So,
well, we had good
thanks
wine.
for the Hess.
Good wine. Good conversation. That was a great explanation about what happened.
Yeah,
I actually think your explanation is the best I've heard so far.
Well, and I'm not saying that I might be an expert. I'm an expert. I can
you are. Yeah.
I could be the aviation expert on CNN.
Yeah.
I mean, I have all the qualifications.
and you know what you're talking about.
and I probably have more inside information than what they're feeding to the CNN because.
Well, and how many times have you flown in that airport to that airport?
At least 100 times, maybe more.
So 100 times.
Yeah.
So, and you probably passed a few helicopters.
It actually is one of my favorite approaches, landing on runway, coming from like Detroit or New York, landing on runway 19 in visual conditions. So 19 points south means that you're flying south, you're going to land south. And
so you don't have to go.
Right. So, but you come down and you actually do the Potomac, it's called the river visual. And you fly down the river on a curved visual flight path. Now it's GPS, but 15 years ago, it was all visual.
Oh, okay.
And you had to hit you had to cross the bridge at 700 feet. You know what I mean? And that was all visual. So it was great as an airline pilot when everything is always so exact. It's locked in with a ILS, frequency, and you're flying across air like straight to the runway. This was something that it was unusual and a challenge and made you feel like you were still a real pilot, not just a airline pilot landing,
Right. Yeah.
So, because you would come down and you would visually fly this curved flight path, and then you would curve after the last bridge. You would make kind of like about a 45-degree turn and grab the runway from it.
Well, it must be awesome to be in the pilot seat because the view.
Right.
No one else gets the same view
nice.
you do.
It's a nice view.
And coming in a city like that, it's got to be incredible.
Yeah. And
I would
when
imagine.
you come down, you see you fly past like the Pentagon. You fly right past, I think it's the U.S. News and World Report building. That's like literally off your wingtip. I mean, you look in and you can see people in the office.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's very, very tight parameters. You can't prohibited airspace on especially on the right side.
Oh, that's so much government stuff.
Yeah,
Everything must be one giant worry, but apparently not.
Yeah, so your wingtip could never cross over the right edge of the Potomac River, so it was prohibited area. So
you get yelled at.
Yeah.
And I suppose you do it enough times, you probably get dinged.
I think if you do it once, you probably get dinged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
do they fine you or
they find the airline for sure?
Okay.
And if you're going to find an airline $10,000, the pilot's probably going to get talked to.
Right, he's probably going to hear about it, right?
But yeah,
or not hear about it.
So,
I'm what?
Yeah, but well, cheers! Thank
Cheers.
you for the delicious.
Hess was a killer tonight,
right,
wasn't it?
Yeah, excellent.
You'll have to get a bottle for your next steak.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you flour that steak?
Did
you put a little flour on it?
I didn't do the flour.
I never tried it. I read about it recently.
So you just do a dusting of flour?
Dusted flour, and they tried to, they try these different ways, and they cook the same exact steak, but they seasoned some certain ways, and they did flour on one, and the flour one was the number one.
I could see where it would almost like put like this, especially if
a
you
little
did
bit
it
of
like
crust.
I think that would be really delicious.
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
thanks everybody. Thank
you
for
for
watching,
joining us. Yeah.
and we have no idea what next week's going to be about.
We'll draw it out of the hat.
Yeah.
Look at this hat, though. This is impressive.
Do we have more? Oh, yeah, now you're going
Right?
to have all our next. Good night.
Good night.